There's a bit of a feeling of unease in Total War right now. I have a feeling there's an anxiety. We are surely about, I don't know, 4 months, 5 months before Warhammer 3 is supposed to come out, unless they delay it. And people are uncertain about Warhammer 3. You've got a lot of people that are worried about it, definitely. I get that impression. And also, on top of Warhammer 3, you have people that seem to have started to complain more openly about Warhammer 2. So, this is remarkable. It's something that I never really would have expected, because this fan base, of course, is notorious in terms of its unscrutiny and how it just accepts whatever it gets and is happy with it. So when I find out about this thread here, it piques my interest, definitely. This is the Total War, the shithole subreddit, and this is a thread that has the title, "Is it just me, or power creep is so strong lately that it's not even fun anymore?" Not even fun anymore. And this has 650 upvotes, which is decent. That's quite a lot. I don't know if it's going to top the subreddit, because it's got 300,000 members and you frequently see posts that have 5,000 upvotes. But to have a thread with 600 upvotes, that's decent going. That means that a lot of people have seen this. And then you'll notice it's got all these awards on it, so it's clearly having resonation. Like, you've got these sentimental emojis like hugs and all this stuff. And it's an effort post. We'll get to this in a minute. It's a long post. Someone put effort into this. And then you look at the upvotes and you see 62%. And that should get you thinking. 62% is a slim majority. Pretty slim. But we have 650. So that means that 12% is 650 votes. So 12% is 1/8. So 8 times 650 is about 5,000 votes have been cast on this post. So that's when you realise a lot of people have seen this. So it doesn't even matter how many votes it actually does have in terms of its net positive, its net karma. Because 5,000 people have cast a vote on this, and many, many tens or hundreds of thousands have seen it and read it. And then you look at the comments, 791. That's a lot of comments. Comments are still coming in. So, I draw your attention back to the title. This is a post that is expressing strong dissent on the shithole subreddit. It's attacking the game at its very core, saying it's not even fun, or arguing the case that it's not even fun, and it is getting traction and being circulated. So, that is remarkable. That has to be acknowledged. So I'm acknowledging this, and I'm going to examine this post, which I haven't really done properly, because I start reading these and I see words that I've never read before and my eyes just glaze over. But I'm going to do my best for you. I'm going to try. I don't care about Warhammer, but I do care about watching this. It's like a motorway pile-up. It's fascinating as fuck. Like, I'm actually curious about Warhammer 3, and it's not because I hope it's going to be a good game and I want to play it. I'm curious about Warhammer 3 for all of the right reasons. The only reasons that are justified. I'm curious about it because it's like a soap opera. I want to see if it's going to be a complete train wreck. I want to know. So that's why I'm interested in Warhammer 3, and you can quote me on that. I'm interested in Warhammer 3 because it is the latest episode in my favourite soap opera, the soap opera of Total War. And here we go. Today's episode. Is it just me, or is power creep so strong lately that it's not even fun anymore? So many of the newer stuff is just so incredibly out of balance that there is literally nothing the AI can do to counter it. Just in general. What the hell is the AI going to throw at me to kill a Doom Bull? Just a single Doom Bull. Because at around level 10 to 15 it has almost better stats than Tyrion with the Sword of Cain. The same, it's not even fun, that's how OP it is, applies to many more factions these days. I believe it started with Ikit Claw, have 3 units of Skaven slaves out there and weapon teams will mow down everything while the slaves capture the AI's attention. So that's single entity blobbing and firing into the blob with ranged. Like, the Empire has crossbowmen, used to be their low tier infantry unit, fine. Later on they upgrade them to riflemen, fine. Aren't Ratling guns supposed to be in line with riflemen or slightly stronger? Because the difference feels like an ant versus an elephant. And then there is the lab, which makes it an ant versus 10 elephants. Don't understand that at all, but I'll have to take his word for it. And we can try and get to the bottom of this with the comments, they'll help. Imric and his ridiculously OP fire damage to everyone bonus combined with the super early accessible dragons. At least you have to fight for those, that's something. Then there is Throt. His mutations on their own would be cool to make his army a thematic melee-only unstoppable roll of mass flesh, but you can throw in everything else the Skaven have. I have to limit myself to not use anything else than monsters to have any kind of fun. Yeah, so this is a problem Total War's always had, where it doesn't really have its own authentic real challenge. Unless, of course, you're talking about Shogun 2, where it can actually be challenging and follow the samurai. If you don't get a good start, it can be a difficult uphill battle for quite a while. The same applies to Ikit, by the way. I only use high-tech units and Skaven slaves, no monsters or ninjas. Just look at the Twilight Sisters giving every single one of their Hawk Riders a basic attack that used to be a powerful sniping ability with long cooldown on a hero. Now it's a basic attack. Let that sink in. Wow. So they distributed something that used to be a really rare ability. I think that's a common trend. I think Three Kingdoms suffered from that. Because you had the trample ability that is on... what are they even called? On generals. So generals would have unlockable special abilities, and I think one of them is unbreakable. But then later on, they start pumping out DLCs, and every unit... No, not every unit, but it's like every faction has a unit in it that's unbreakable, it seems like. So these are units where they fight to the last man. So it used to be restricted to generals, and it was really annoying. But then you start seeing regular units that have this as well. And I'm sure there's other examples, like maybe Trample. Yeah, so it seems like they take something exclusive and they try and recycle it to get more out of the concept of it. They're recycling their concept, it seems like, with distribution. Sure, the idea sounds fun, but about 2 battles later I'm sick to my stomach and bored to death because what on earth will ever hope to counter this? Wow, yeah. So, just no challenge. There's virtually 0% chance that I'm losing a battle at this point, even with... See, there's no tension, this is the problem. And this is why Shogun 2 is just the fucking best, and why my Impossible Battles series is so easy, and why it's such a good example. And why no one ever contests when I say to them, alright, upload a battle in your chosen modern Total War game and provide a counter example, produce anything like it that can even hold a candle to what I've got here with Shogun 2, and they're never interested in giving examples. Like 90% of the time they don't even try, half the time they don't even respond. It's because they know it, and it's now being basically confessed, or being stated in frustration on the shithole subreddit itself. So this is exactly what I started out talking about. This was my first fucking critique video, saying that fake difficulty isn't a challenge and we need an actual challenge. We need a real fucking challenge. Shogun 2. Go to the end of my first critique video, why Total War's last success was 8 years ago. I'm talking about how Shogun 2 is about overcoming terrible odds, using everything at your disposal, tactically, using all tactical options to emerge victorious as the underdog. That's what that game is all about. This guy would probably really like Shogun 2 if he hasn't played it already. Because look at his complaints here. These are the same complaints that I had about fucking Modern Total War. Troy in 3K, it's not difficult, it's not fun, because there's no challenge. So it's good to see this getting resonation already. I'm reading this and I'm liking it. Back then, when CA made the base game and older DLC content, they had a sense of balance that I feel lately has been thrown out the window. Yeah, exactly, because there's other influences that are creeping in. There's the pressure to put out more DLCs, and I can now... Hang on, I'm going to get something for you. Yep, so here's what I posted on a post by Darkfire Slide, who's a good commenter. I like his comments. He pointed out how other fantasy games have proper differentiation and have actual engagement with how they implement their systems, their elements, their mechanics, as Total War players like to say it. Like they have mechanics that are involved and thought out. And then another post by someone that has a good point here. But I commented here, this is what I'm getting to. It's extremely lazy, and that's what you get when you schedule games and DLCs at the rate they're trying to do. Annualised full price and full scope releases, a AAA $60 game every single year, and DLCs every 2 months. It usually takes a full team of well-led game system designers 2+ years to get together and refine a set of worthy gameplay mechanics. This is a word that modern Total War players love. They sound like junkies going on about mechanics, and they really do. You actually see them begging for this shit. Like, they've started to beg for it. It's so weird, and this is something Admiral Price would do as well. I noticed this. He would talk about DLCs and the merit of the DLCs, and he would just have the word mechanics fucking appear over and over again in his videos. And I think he would actually give credit to DLCs that are more mechanics oriented as opposed to just being reskins. So he was right there when he was saying that CA are being lazy when they just have reskins and have a new general faction leader. Fucking Lord. Oh my god, what a word. Lord, like we're in like medieval shit. Fucking hell. It's just misappropriation of the word Lord. What the fuck? Yeah, so he was right there. Having a new faction leader and some new units is not like... This is such a far cry from the earlier days of gaming and like even the mid-2000s when expansion packs entailed a single player experience that's about 2/3 as long as the base game being added onto the base game at about half the cost. Those were the times. And this is the thing, we've fucking had better. It is possible to have better than this. We've had it. There was a time when gaming was better than it is right now. So to settle for less and accept less is just pathetic. To accept shitty DLCs that are almost completely vapid and without merit, paying £15 for paltry piddling additions to the game, it's just unacceptable. How can you respond to that with anything but contempt and dismissal? Yeah, so mechanics, yeah. So that's how low things are now, how far we've come, how bad things are. If games ship DLCs that just have mechanical additions, that is laudable, that is worthy of praise. That's how pathetic the situation is that we're in. That's how deep in the hole we are. So that's 2+ years of brainstorming and implementing and tweaking and refining the systems and elements of the gameplay that players will be using throughout play. I think back to games like Tiberian Sun and Red Alert 2 and Tiberian Wars, and there's so much variation in how these games and factions and units are utilised and deployed, even though they're all Command & Conquer. The way you play as Nod in Tiberian Sun is completely different from how you'd play as allies in Red Alert 2, even though they're both guerrilla/mobile/tech rushing factions. Meanwhile, in Three Kingdoms, you have Lu Bu with his recharging his movement after every battle, just making a bar empty after Criteria X is met, and then in Warhammer's latest DLC, you have the exact same system in place as an attempted differentiation for the Bull Creature faction. They can't even keep up with their own snail pace. Not only have they abandoned the principles of meaningful concept-driven differentiation that involve multiple aspects of the game's systems, but that extremely low bar that they've set for themselves is still so high that they're compelled to recycle ideas between full titles and pass it off as new/original experiences. Yeah, and that reminds me of this. This guy's a really good commenter. He comments on my videos, and he always leaves good comments. And he phrased it really well, and I remembered it. I actually dug his comment out again to give him credit for this, because this is the first time I saw this being described. See, you want to drop all the good ideas from the last good Total War. We'll need an Aldi-style Total War ripoff then. Aldi is like, in the UK, Aldi is seen as being it's like a low-grade supermarket. It's kind of seen as being tacky and like a really working-class, borderline poverty supermarket. Like, the price of the food is really low. That's a reputation I had when I was growing up anyway. Like, I've not shopped at Aldi, at least not in years. What ideas from Shogun 2 and Fall of the Samurai did Creative Accounting keep? Well, the hated realm divide one for a start. It's not just that your allies and vassals turn on you, it's the arbitrary nature of what triggers it. A progress bar. CA then continued the paradoxization from there. What do I mean by that? Pick a noun, attach a progress bar to it, make something happen when it fills, usually unrelated to the noun. Notice how all Paradox games and arcade-style Total War games are filled with mechanics like that. And that's so true. When I started playing Three Kingdoms, I noticed that every fucking thing in the game was just bars going up. You'd play as... Oh, what are the brothers? Shit, what are the brothers? Fuck. This is how you know I don't fucking know Chinese history. The two brothers that fight against each other. Yuan Shu and Yan Shao. Yep, you would play as Yuan Shu, and his bar would go up, and you would be able to get economic benefits. So the bar goes up, and you get to make your other number go up for your money, or you can hire agents with it, hire new characters with it. So it was just a really lazy system. A bar goes up over time, and then you can use it to boost your economy or hire characters. It's not a good system. There's not any agency that you can enact over a system as boneheaded as that. And then with Yuan Shao, there's probably something similar. But that's just how the whole game was. Or Cao Cao, a bar goes up and then you can do diplomatic actions. So it's just a bar that goes up. It's a separate currency. A bar fills and then you empty it to get benefits. It's just bars going up. So it's so true. I noticed it immediately. This shit was not there when I played earlier Total War games. It's only when I returned with Three Kingdoms that I came across this bullshit and immediately thought it was weird. And then this guy pointed out, and I was like, yeah, exactly, of course. You're right. That is how they handle things now. Troy did the same thing. Troy and Three Kingdoms were so similar. My god. Alright, let's get back to this. Oh yeah, and this is another comment. I found this one while I was looking for another one. So this is my immolation of Total War's player freedom video, which relates to this, definitely. And this guy said, it's just a random comment from a random guy, I think you're assuming contempt for the player for these designs when it's really not. It's what happens when you push studios to pump out games as quickly as possible with as many quote-unquote features as possible, rather than refining systems. It's what happens when game studios treat their designers and other staff like sweatshop labourers, forcing them to sleep and work in the studio around the clock. Don't expect complex designs from staff being treated like that. Expect design that barely passes the bar for functionality. To try to get the game to work is challenging enough at launch for most titles to work well with complex and emergent gameplay. That requires a different sort of workspace. Yep, so that guy had it right 8 months ago, and I only just noticed and appreciated this comment. It does relate to this, and this is what it's all about, really. Annualized releases. Alright, so back to the original post. Back then, when CA made the base game and older DLC content, they had a sense of balance that I feel lately has been thrown out the window. The best example would be Beastmen's moon mechanic and new rework in general. If you wanted a gigantic buff like 40% movement for 10 turns, it came with a cost. Now it costs nothing. You just get a random pop-up window. Here, take this godlike buff. You can choose from 4. Okay, but why? What balances this off? So yeah, it's just bestowing things to the player. It's numbers being buffed or buffed around. And I said that here, down here, when I commented about Command and Conquer. It should be noted that I don't remember a single example of 30% to damage / health / armour in any of those CNC games I listed. You didn't even know how many hit points your unit had. You'd have to visit wikis 20 years later in order to even see behind the curtain. I still couldn't tell you how many hit points a Grizzly tank in Riddler 2 has. See, it wasn't about these numbers, it was about the gameplay and the actions that you would take. Maybe you would have a knowledge of how many Grizzly tank shots it would take to kill a Rhino tank, but usually you wouldn't. You would just have a feeling. You wouldn't watch numbers go down. You would definitely see the health bar going down and you see smoke coming out the tank eventually, but it wasn't about these numbers. 30% would be absolutely meaningless back then. It would just fucking mean nothing. But now you're presumably meant to calculate this bullshit and stack it all together. Look at how many mentions there are of numbers on this post. 40% for 10 turns, 2 times leadership, 3 times charge. Like, look at all this shit, it's just numbers everywhere. Minus around 10 chaos spawns. Yeah. I'm not going to read any of this because I've no idea what the fuck any of this shit means. It's just not fun anymore. There's no struggle, no balancing between costs and benefits, no choices to make. It's which more overpowered bullshit is going to be free in the next 10 minutes, and that's it. Oh, it's so damning. He even says bullshit, and he doesn't get his post deleted. So, I think the mods of this subreddit can feel the storm coming, and they've been instructed to change their tactics to one of permitting the venting of steam. So they're no longer trying to hide that these games are just sort of getting lazy and getting boring and getting shitty. It's now about letting it be acknowledged, but not letting it go any further than that, not letting it flare up into absolute clusterfucks. We'll see if there's been any moderator meddling in the chat, in the comments below. Here are some excellent examples of great campaigns when seeing new balance. And then he gives some examples. It was messed up, of course, by people who probably enjoy everything is OP and that's fun. Oh my god, look at this. So he says a campaign managed to be fun, whether that was by complete accident or not. He liked it. And then he says here that the people that are just like, don't care, looks cool, everything's overpowered, big monsters that can just kill everything, they've ruined it. Oh, that is so... like, see if that's true, holy shit. We'll see if that's true when we go further down. Oh, no idea what this shit means. Oh man, he repeats this again, everything is OP and that's fun. Growth. I get the impression that CA's latest design decisions are all about all new features have to be flat out a power increase, not a new gameplay style. Holy shit. All new features have to be flat out a power increase, not a new gameplay style. So they're just making numbers go up. Bigger and bigger numbers in the games for bigger and bigger numbers on their balance sheet. That's what we're dealing with here. If this is true, not a new game. So this guy wants gameplay, and he says it was good when that's what we got. And of course, once again, a lot of resonation here with this post, which is completely surprising to me. I never would have expected that posts like this would already be happening before Warhammer 3 comes out. So this is... I don't know if I would say reassuring, because it's a hopeless situation. But this is It's like a pleasantly surprising, it's an encouraging, reassuring thing that even here in this place that I would have thought is just irredeemable, especially when it's as late stage capitalism as it actually is now, we're still able to see posts like these be successful. Alright, and now let's start reading comments. Let's filter by top. Money sinks. Oh, look at this, man. He's got people. He's got 800 upvotes, and he's got all of these emoji thingies, whatever the fuck they are, on his post awards. Money sinks, like Malice, whose campaign is horribly designed and such a fucking terrible example, and Hellebron aren't challenging at all. They're tedious. There's no balance. It boils down to, do I have the money? 99.9% chance I do, so press the button. I don't. Soldier on, because I'm probably 2 turns away at most from sacking a city. No one is beating my main stack, but sometimes I do lose a minor settlement here or there. Big deal. Malice's campaign is so fucking awful. It's clear Rakarth was supposed to be there. They just really wanted I hope CA what superbly designed character wrapped in a shit sandwich of a campaign. You know it's bad when people mostly tell you to play Malekith and just confed Malice. Confederate. Every game is easy once you've sunk hundreds or thousands of hours into it. People seem to forget this far too often on the sub. These kinds of topics aren't helpful when you don't post your game time, your difficulty level. If you use mods, usually makes the game easier. And if you save scum or not. Eshin's AP missile damage for slingers, gutter runners and night runners is more OP than anything with Ikit. Who needs weapon teams when you can kite the enemy to your doom and insta-delete the strongest faction on the map? Besides, High Elves and Dark Elves are still the most powerful factions in the game. Their economies are ridiculous. You can crank out maxed out lords. Lizardmen have the best doom stack in the game. Takes time to farm traits and level up. We've seen tons of Empire and Dwarfs post-battle screens against 3 or 4 armies and a close victory. The nerve title. So this is kind of mixed signals. It's like he's saying the game is trivially easy if you know how to play it, and it's designed like shit, but this is what you should expect. And he sort of says that he's not even, the original poster isn't even complaining about the worst stuff. This 1,000 times. Press the button to not suck is horrible game design. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I've always said that I really don't give a fuck about these tech trees and Troy. That's the example that comes to mind. Troy's fucking tech trees, where you just click a button and get 5% more melee attack for light swords, or minus 20% upkeep for heavy infantry. Like, fuck all of this meaningless garbage. And that's what this is. It's just mindless button clicking for bonuses. Yeah, pressing a button to... Oh, what the fuck? Downvote away, you filthy casuals. Yeah, this guy is really being sarcastic here. Oh, man. Buttons like Ikit's Workshop, no thinking required, just press and forget. It's a strategy game, why make things that require planning and strategy? Downvote away, you filthy casuals. So this guy is enlightened, like he's awake. Complaining about the AI and its incompetence. Alright, let's get some more high voted comments. OP doesn't seem very good. Oh man, so they're saying he's a bad player, but he's saying that the game is really easy and there's no challenge, so I don't know, how can he not be very good if he's having such an easy time? Yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of fanboys here because we had what 2,000, 3,000 downvotes if we when we calculated how many upvotes and downvotes. Op is full of shit, talking at his ass. Some people trying to call out what he said. It's hyperbole. He's mistaken challenge for tedium. It's a poorly informed rant post. You're expecting accurate facts and balanced opinions here. This is a hot take. Comment so I can come back with the popcorn. So it seems like the sentiment is agreed with, but people are picking away at the specifics of it. This was a prevalent and common trait on the tabletop, and there isn't really any way to balance a single-player game where a competent human player faces AI. It's better to have fun campaigns than balanced ones, but everyone's definition of fun is different. Total lack of balance is amusing for about 5 minutes, and then the novelty wears off. I was fine with Icket Club being a really overpowered dopamine hit for when I just wanted to put up a campaign and gun things down for a few hours, but I'm starting to agree that there's some ridiculous power creep. And look at this fucking language, dopamine hit, like they're actually describing themselves as substance abusers, like they're fucking junkies. Look at this, it's just so bizarre. They're just brazenly using this terminology to describe themselves and dropping it casually. Played a Torox campaign and it was beyond easy. Legit didn't struggle at all whenever I wanted to do something. Thought, okay, I'll play a Kazrak campaign since he's less OP as a lord. Maybe get a more legit Beastman experience. Well, the legit Beastman experience is being tier 5 and turn 30 while every other faction is still stuck in tier 2 to 3, having access to 3 hordes which you can fill with whatever you want because economy doesn't exist and dread isn't hard to get. It's not like you can lose early battles, even on very hard or legendary difficulty, because your starting units aren't bad. You have infinite ungors up to army cap, not to mention getting to capture settlements at tier 3 fairly early in the game which have a huge garrison attached, having full vision of a massive area, and for the most overpowered part, fucking applying massive Skaven plagues to 6 settlements at once within 1 turn of building. It's insane. So people are saying the game is really easy. It seems like people are in agreement that the difficulty isn't really there in the game, and learning the game means that you learn the ways to exploit the fake difficulty. Because I think people complain about difficulty modifiers here. I'd be surprised if it doesn't come up. People were complaining about the AI being bad. Good post up. Having a struggle and deserved reward was so much more fun to play instead of getting reward from several turns in without the struggle. Yeah, while people here praise CA for amazing work in Legend Total War 40 battles and 20 levels in 1 turn thread, all I could think was that's just a shitty balance. Yeah, that sounds completely off. Torox's case is caused by a bug and isn't the way CA intended it to be, so I expect it to get fixed. The mechanic literally breaks down if you manage to achieve an unlimited rampage and stops giving you the rampage tokens. Yeah, that's what Lu Bu... That's how it worked in Lu Bu's DLC. What is it? A World Divided or Broken World or whatever the fuck. He would have the exact same thing, unlimited movement by just winning battles. The trick is to make sure you have a battle close by when the rampage is about to end. For example, if there's an army near a settlement, raise the settlement, then attack the army. New rampage ensues. Yep, see, it's really exploitable. These things are so exploitable. They recycled it from 3K, and it's just not any good. It's even worse here than it was in 3K. The crossbowman handgun or rattling gunner comparison is very confusing. Handgunners are not a straight upgrade from crossbows, they're just way more powerful in certain situations. It's strange that people would even talk about these things in this way. They're meant to be completely differentiated, not much similar other than the fact that they're both ranged units. So seeing comments like this is strange. Honestly, the difficulty in the base game is unappealing to me, and difficulty sliders equals more unbalanced stats leave me unimpressed. And then people talk about SFO, which I've learned is a mod that makes the game more balanced and challenging. You've been downvoted by the hate bandwagon the SFO gets on here. Wow, gatekeeping. This could be a good post. Or create another level of difficulty for casuals. Here you can have your minotaurs with as high stats as you want. Here you can only give, so that anyone who just wants to see things getting smashed could enjoy himself, herself, but don't make it standard. And that's what Total War's turning into, that's where it's going towards, where the only thing to really be had is animations. That's going to end up being the entire draw. Mediocre animations in a pretty dated looking game, for which the only merit it has is that it happens to depict an IP where the consumer base is just starving for anything, which is what I've learned is the case. They don't get any fan service anywhere else, so getting it here finally, they lap it up. These posts are always like, with my hyper-efficient methods of playing the game that borders on cheese strats, these powerful factions feel too powerful. The problem is that you're too good at the game, so factions that feel good in my hands feel overpowered in yours. The thing is though, I can pick up these games, and maybe I'm just superhuman or something, but I can pick up a game like Troy and instantly break it, because it's just so broken and exploitable. Yeah, strategy game, like this is the thing, it's not even a strategy game, it's like a real-time tactics game. You're fighting battles. Yeah, this has a lot of comments on it. It's definitely provoked a lot of people. I mean, recently every time there's a nerf to a unit, seemingly large amount of people start saying that things should be left overpowered in single player because it's fun. Seems C have taken that on board. Wow. So, he thinks that CA are pandering to the don't care looks cool casuals. Wow. Games kinda need to have a degree of structure and balance, otherwise it's just slamming a bunch of virtual action figures together, and I genuinely do not understand how anyone can extract fun from that for more than 5 minutes. Exactly. Holy shit. I tend to play strategy games because I enjoy strategizing. When something is so brain dead, overpowered, where any sense of thought goes out the window, I find the lack of strategy not fun. Why play strategy games if fun equates to right click settlement / army smash repeat? In my Torx campaign, I fought 109 battles in very hard and lost one due to an undefended Herdstone on Ulthan, the most brainless campaign I've played so far. Holy shit. Holy shit. This is the kind of damning that that I've just been waiting to see happen. Things have changed a lot in, 11 months? Like, there's no way posts like these would have been allowed to stand and accumulate upvotes a year ago. The fanboys, the fucking lunatic fanboys ran the asylum. But now their game is just getting absolutely trashed left, right and centre. And maybe they've even come around and are now engaging in it as well. And this guy's saying here, play harder campaign. What's the issue? Variety is healthy for games. And then this guy responds with, you missed the point. The point is that there's no new challenging campaigns. And there's been a trend where they get easier and easier. Wow. The top few players that find legendary campaigns easy. My god, I found them easy when I was a kid. What the fuck? Yeah, so it seems like the Warhammer fanboys are growing up a little bit and they're starting to want more. But the thing is, how the fuck can you want more at a time when you're getting less and less and they're getting you used to it? They're training you to accept less and less. It's not going to go well. All these Warhammer fanboys that are going to want more are just going to be disappointed, and then it's going to be a shitstorm. And I look forward to it, and we'll see that precipitate possibly with Warhammer 3 if it's a big flop. Yeah, now we're getting down into the lower upvoted comments. Only Torox is OP. And yeah, this guy that made the post, he is still going. Because look at this, 15 hours ago. One of these is made by some insane person with no sense of balance, and the other isn't made by CA. Modder with common sense, and apparently this is all supposed to make sense. I just see a bunch of bullshit numbers and percentages here. Modder with common sense. So there's a contrast being drawn here. So this guy's unhappy and he seems to know his shit when it comes to Warhammer, and he's got loads of karma. So he is being honest and sincere with his unhappiness. And he's getting a net positive and upvotes on a thread that has thousands of ratings and is approaching thousands of comments. It's still getting new comments. And I said all of this, well, I tried to explain this with this video. In fact, this one here, and what other one is good for this? First of all, difficulty 1. Well, this addresses the problem with the difficulty implementation. And then this is the one where the player doesn't have action available to them. And then spreadsheeting is important for the approach of just having percentages and numbers all over the place and not actually simulating anything. The completely flat implementation. And these videos, I think, explain a lot of this power creep bullshit and the laziness in the trending. So it's nice to see the vindication. It's always nice to be vindicated. Long may it continue, and I look forward to Warhammer 3.